This is the design practicum focused on utilities, waste and luxury. The space that we were exploring was Cape Town in South Africa.
So the way that Professor Helfand organized the class was by bringing in, I think there's about 10 architecture students in the class and 25 SOM students. And so we were divided into teams. Each one has an architecture student and a handful of business school students to allow students from each school to really learn from each other. So we've been studying the water crisis in Cape Town.
So our entire semester-long process is around exploring, trying to understand what the crisis is about, whether there's a crisis at all, and research, talk to people, create as much grounding as possible.
The cool thing about this class is that it's immersive. So there was a chance to go to Cape Town and do some work on the ground.
And each team has been given a specific typology to work with. There's hospitals, elder care homes, hotels, townships, and suburbs. And within each team and with our typology, we're tasked with coming up with a design solution for the constituents of our typology.
My group is working with the Hotel Mount Nelson, which is a luxury hotel. And we're working on behavioral nudges using visual design for guests. So we don't imagine that our visual nudges is going to, make every single guest at the Mount Nelson change their behavior. But if we could achieve it for 4 people, 5 people, beautiful, great.
And especially with our team looking at the townships, people have been using very little water for decades. Like, they don't have housing, they don't have a tap in their house. There is inadequate resources in many ways. So having to live on 50 litres of water or less a day is nothing new for them. So we quickly realised that it wasn't so much of an issue of water consumption, but maybe access to water and just basic needs.
I was involved with working on Fresnay. Fresnay is one of the most affluent communities in Cape Town. So these magnificent, glorious bungalows, and you can't see any of them because there are high walls there, so you can't really see anything. What they all have in common is that they're super rich. They all have pools. So in a time of, in a time where there's no water, they still have functioning pools. So that's something that really intrigued us.
We're working on a business model that would consolidate the delivery of water to the suburb so that it could be acquired at a lower cost per unit. We also want to introduce a line of pool covers, which would convert the pool into a storage tank for water.
I think I've seen my fellow MBA students really learning new ways of thinking by working with the architects on their team.
There was an immense amount of what I think is intersecting perspectives from students in our class.
The relationship between the architecture students and the MBAs, I think, is complementary. And we have certain skills and proficiencies and ways of thinking that I hope we contributed to our teams. But I think the real value for me was learning how the business students do this work.
It's really one thing to work on a project about a specific place halfway around the world, and it's another to really be on the ground and be able to talk to people who are intimately familiar with the situation and with solutions that are being tested and trialed. I think we learned a lot more than we ever could have just staying here.